G'day, my name is Connor Mast, as known in the Smash community. I'm with Jonathan Douglas, J Dizzle, and this is 20 questions. So I'll be running through 20 questions with you. Firstly though, Mia has just been beaten by Shrikar. How do you feel about that one?
That is a fantastic result for my boy Shrikar. Had a bit of a shaky start to Japan, but now it's the major time, so this is where it all counts. And he stepped up the big stage. He has taken Mia out, and so I'm beyond happy for my boy Shrikar to get that win. That is excellent. And it's more than just for him. It's a country we're literally getting these bigger wins now much more frequently. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We were definitely collectively popping off in the Ranbat Hall together. But we'll start with the first question then. And that is, just coming back from the international travel, what are your plans going forward?
Yeah, so after my most recent trip to Japan, before I thought I was going to be donezo, it was kind of time to move on to other things in life, and I just kind of thought my time's coming to an end. I need to get back into work, and I just can't keep doing this. But being in Japan, I loved it, and I started getting some really good results. So I was like, all right, maybe I don't hang, the controller up. Maybe it's still time to keep going. So I think for the moment now, I will actually go back to Japan and stay in Japan for a longer period of time. I can stay there for another 160 days of the year because you can only stay to 180 without a visa. And if I wanted to stay for longer, you get a special visa, and sometimes there's single entry. So it can get a bit trickier. So I think I'll stay there for another 4 to 5 months. Maybe not all at once. I might go there for a month, come back, and then stay there for another few months. Because it all depends on my plans, what's happening with BAM, Phantom, Aussie majors. I want to see if I can factor a bit of those in as well. So for the time being, I'll stay here for another month or two, go to Game Expo, maybe head to Japan for a month over Golden Week because they have a major then. Come back, try to do BAM, Phantom, and then stay over there for another 3-4 months and really grind hard and hopefully get top 8 at a major. That's the end goal.
That is the end goal. And definitely if you have the infrastructure and the time to do it, may as well just send it, right? Question number two. How do you find handling the pressure that's on your back competing internationally?
So that's definitely one of the most difficult things, especially traveling internationally for the first time. It's very hard to get settled in an environment you're not used to being in and all that. So I was originally struggling with that the last few times I've traveled, but this time in Japan I was a bit more relaxed. I think that's because my outside environment, I had friends there that I was holidaying with and we're having a good time overall, so I was pretty relaxed in general. But it's one of those things where just experience helps you deal with it. The more you're in the situation, the more you get used to it. And I think now that I've been international quite a bit, I've actually been able to settle down and really get control of my nerves a little bit better now.
I guess it's never truly solved, but you only get better at it over time.
Yeah, it's not something that solves overnight, and it's not, it really just comes down to experience, and it never goes away, but you learn to manage it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And question number 3 is, this one's from Hunter Dugongs. Shout out. Do you have any pre-bracket rituals that help you with nerves or tournament performance? Maybe a tournament diet, like the ghost thing?
I have sleep rituals, I would say. That's the number one thing I focus on before an event is sleep, and not just a few days before, 2 weeks usually before, a week or two generally before if it's a big major. I wake up and go. I'd wake up at the same time I would for that tournament. So if I had to wake up at 9 a.m. for the tournament day, I'd wake up at 9 a.m. throughout the entire week, and I'd go to bed at the same time every day. Get in a consistent sleep schedule. So that's the number one thing for me. Apart from practicing, I'm more careful of what I eat, but it's not a ritual that I'll only eat this and this. I'll eat so there'll be a certain groups of food, and I'll just eat anything like that. But usually a pretty decent breakfast, and then snack on fruits and pretty light stuff throughout the day.
On the bananas,
mate, I love the bananas and I love the apples. My 2 go-to fruits. They always do the job. Yeah,
hasn't failed you yet.
No.
Question number 4 is things that Japan/Americans do that you'd like to see happen in Oz. That could be gameplay or practice-wise, anything.
I would like to see. Well, in Japan, they do grind sessions usually with like 6 or so people. So they do large grind sessions, but they'll rotate every 30 minutes to an hour. And so you get to play everyone, which is really good because you're playing a wide variety of people, a wide variety of experience. And so you're not always like, if you're here, you just grind one person with like 3 or 4 hours, which is like fine. But I think for the younger folks, the up and comers, like new ulti people, the more people you can play with, the better it is. So that's like one thing they did really well. But the other thing Japan did really well is they provided full setups with speakers, first party GameCube adapters, and all that, which I know is a bit tougher logistically. Yeah. But it's I would say those like the main things they do there that we don't really do here. Nothing
about like Japan or American play.
Like in-game play?
In-game, yeah.
Oh, okay. In-game. Sorry
about that mix-up.
Yeah. I was like, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. Smash-wise, I mean, it's pretty tricky to like give a general of a country because every play is different. But in Japan, they were more willing to react to your movement instead of like, so I noticed people here kind of force their game plan on you. Japanese people weren't as willing to like do that. They will like react to you moving in, and then they will have their counterplay measures for that. So if you're dashing into them or being aggressive, they have their list of A, B, and C of like how to punish that. And if you retreat, vice versa, they have their options. So the game is much more movement based and a bit more skillful in that regard. Whereas people here and kind of in America as an extent will kind of force their character and game plan on you, and you have to respect it and kind of play around that. Where if you can kind of break down their play style and really get it in. But Americans are much more willing to just like go in guns blazing, whereas Japanese, there's a bit more of strategy layer to it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's like respecting options that aren't actually being thrown out, I guess, right? In terms of movement.
Yeah, which is like why characters like Min, like Proto doing well in Japan, because Min doesn't have to respect what you do. You just go in and you just swing arms, smash attacks, tilts, and it works. And I think Japanese people kind of struggle because there's no extra layer of thinking. It's literally just like arms in your face, off I go, and so that's why Proto does like so well with Min there. Yeah.
It's like the anti-meta.
Yeah, legit. Like any anti-meta characters like Min like do really well over there. Yeah.
Fantastic. On to question number 5. What have you changed about your play leveling up internationally?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, especially going in Japan, is bad boomerang throws, projectile throws were like literally killing me. Is that I play very fast and I can outspeed like everyone here. But obviously the faster you play, the more chance you make for an error, right? And I noticed a lot of those errors or me like being really fast, dashing back and like throwing a boomerang or shooting a fire in a spot like I shouldn't have. And that was getting me like called out and putting me in disadvantage to ledge, and I was just like getting hard punished for it. Now I realized that like I can just like take my time a bit more when I'm not in an advantage situation, dash around, try and position myself to put myself in a more favorable position. And then, then I can shoot a fire or throw a boomerang when I'm in a much better spot. And so I found out not getting as punished for projectile throws has made like a huge difference. And it's, what helped me beat Ken because, I wasn't just mindlessly throwing projectiles like I was against Sonics, for example, and I wasn't getting called out for bad projectile throws, and it makes like a humongous difference. Yeah.
Really sounds like this movement and less committal, like positioning kind of mentality that they have in Japan has really affected you for the better.
Yeah, it's knowing when to go in, when to press your buttons, when you're in the advantage state, and when to like back off, respect, be a bit more movement heavy, and really know when to kind of go in again and whatnot.
All right, well, question number 6. Were you homesick, or what was like the craziest culture shock that happened to you in the States or in Japan?
I wasn't necessarily homesick on this trip, though I do get quite homesick. I'd say I kind of miss being with my family and at home a little bit when I'm away for an extended period of time. When I went to America back in 2021, 2022, I got a bit homesick because I was away for like 2 months. which is kind of a long time. But I was a bit lucky on this Japan trip. I had three other good mates that I was with, and so that kind of helped me feel a bit more at home. So I was a bit more at ease. Being in America by myself is a bit grim. I do feel a bit more homesick, so I feel very far, and just being by myself in a country I'm like not particularly fond of. It's just like I do get a bit homesick then, but being with friends was good. But I wouldn't say there was too many culture shocks. I kind of knew what to expect. There was like, the only thing that really got me in Japan was you're not supposed to walk and eat.
Yeah. I've heard watch videos about that. I'm like, what? How do you eat anywhere?
That threw me off for a little bit. I know it's not too much of a thing now. Like, not Japanese people don't really care. Apparently, in trains it's still pretty bad. But culture shocks, not really. As I said, I just kind of had an idea of what to expect. So it felt anything was pretty adaptable.
Yeah, easy. Well, question number 7. What is the weirdest or funniest interaction you have with other smashers internationally?
That is a good question. Funniest interactions I've had.
If there were any.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I had a few Americans come up to me and say are you Jay Dizzle? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh no way, that's Ben Gold's from Australia, right? And I'm like, yeah, bit old Ben Gold country, and have a bit of a laugh about that. Someone asked me, I always get asked, are we upside down? Someone asked me if we celebrate New Year's Day because we're upside down. And someone asked me if we've got Squid Games on Netflix because we're upside down. So usually my funny interactions come from Americans because they're a bit funny. Whereas I couldn't say I had too many with Japanese people because I couldn't really communicate with them too much.
bit of a difference.
Yeah. So all my interactions were pretty normal with Japanese people, but Americans, a few cooked ones here and there.
Yeah. Bit odd, honestly.
Just a bit odd people. Yeah.
All right. Question number 8. Who do you want to see compete internationally from Australia, including people who have gone or haven't gone yet?
At the moment, it would be pretty interesting to see Ghost, just because he plays Steve, and I feel like he'd just snag a few wins or some shit here and there.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting to see how he would go. I guess Nick as well, when he's on point playing. I'm not sure if he wants to, but I think that Japan's probably a place where they would all go. I don't think any of the newcomers are ready to go internationally yet. Jix, Fried Rice, all of them. I don't think they're ready to go to do well, performance-wise, but they can get valuable experience there. So it's I don't think there's anything wrong with them going, but as long as they don't go with the idea of wanting to do well or getting some good results, then I think they can get some valuable experiences out of it. But I think they would still very much struggle at this stage. So I think any old head, Nick Ghost or whatever, if they're their goal is to do well or something overseas, then I think those would be the people.
Just an experience diff as well, and there's still a lot more to gain in the home country, right?
Yeah, because apart from me, Strix have travelled, DD's travelled a bit. Ben plays Lincoln Pete, which I don't think are viable on a world scale. I think that would make him suffer a little bit if he went to America or somewhere. And then Seb as well would be interesting. I would be kind of interested to see how he would go as well. Yeah. So yeah,
Seb I feel just does well against internationals. Just from how he plays, it's more international based, in my opinion.
Yeah. He would do pretty well in Japan because he would kind of force his rob gameplay on the opponent. He would do kind of anti-meta stuff, and I think that'll throw him off. And America would be hit or miss, I guess, depending on who plays. But I think Seb would be low-key do pretty well in Japan. Yeah.
So you should tell him. Question number 9. Why did you choose Japan to grind for the future?
Yeah, so one, I don't want to stay in America. Even though America's a pretty good place, I just don't want to be there. I don't want to stay there for a long period of time. It's just not as convenient, more expensive, just not as worth it. To me, the talent pool isn't as high as Japan. Yeah. Europe, kind of the same reason. It's just not as strong. Yeah. Europe's just kind of the same standard to Australia, so there's no point going there to stay. And then Japan is pretty close to Australia, cheaper. The talent pool is incredibly high. I really enjoyed the place Just like
Yeah.
I
being
enjoyed being there,
Yeah,
which is like super key, right?
Yeah.
Like I loved eating the food, being there, going around, going out. I very much enjoyed like actually being there as a place, and the talent pool is so high that I know it'll push me to like my absolute max. So yeah, it's just the right place to be.
Just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Question number 11. Well, I guess you kind of already answered this, but were you recognized often while traveling?
I was recognized more than I thought I was. I got recognized quite a bit in America. I mean, everyone kind of knows who I am, but like not everyone like approaches me. But in America, Genesis, I got approached by quite a few people asking for like signatures and photos and stuff. Yeah. I was a little bit surprised. So I was pretty well known in America. Japan, like no one came up to me, or not many, unless they were like internationals, they did, but not many Japanese people came up to me. A few did. But a lot of the Japanese players knew me, one, because of when Jono came down. I actually had a few people say that they knew me from my match from Jono at Phantom. So yeah, I had a few people recognize me from that, and then a few others. But yeah, I got recognized quite a bit, but more in America than Japan, for sure.
Just like a bit more of an overlap as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it was more that the Americans could come up to me and speak to me, and Japanese people can't, even though if they probably maybe knew who I am. Well, at least I do now. Yeah.
Fucking oath.
Yeah.
Question number 12. What keeps you motivated for your goals?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I set particular goals. I just haven't reached it. As soon as I have knocked one down, I've always set another one. And I think about what would happen if I achieved that goal, how I'd feel, what the effect would be. And that always just wants me to keep going, drive forwards. Every day, like I work, I practice, and I think about what if I did get like this top 8 at like a major, what would it feel like to me? I visualize it, like I visualize that goal and realize how good it would feel to achieve that. So, I set it, I think it, I visualize it, and it drives me to keep going. If thinking about it, beating that top player, or, being on that big stage at Super Smash Con or Genesis or whatever, like it all, it keeps me going. Yeah.
That's really inspiring to hear. Yeah, fuck. Because we all kind of dream like that, so.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And, I'm someone, if I dream it, I want to work towards it. Like, I know what I'm capable of, Smash, that, it would mean the world to make like a top 8 of that. And I know I'm capable. So, like, I'll work my ass off knowing that I can achieve it. I set a goal thinking I can achieve it. So I work for it.
Yeah. Sick. Question number 13. Thoughts on what happened at the majors here while you were gone? You were gone from Big Cheese 3, I believe.
No, I missed Pissmas and Action. Yeah. Pissmas was interesting. I kind of thought Jix would win it. I mean, there was none of like the really top 6 there. Well, I mean, Seb was there, but no me, Ghost, Nick, Bin, Strix, none of the kind of ones you'd always expect to win a major. So I think that makes it more interesting in that regard, that can someone really step up and win it, while one of us aren't there. And I didn't get to see much of it. I saw top 8 a little bit. And Grand Finals was interesting. I liked Jura pushing Jix to really win it. Jix didn't get a free 3-0, even though they were too hard.
Pacino, mate.
The Pacino came out and pushed Jix. And I liked that Jix was forced to adapt, step up, and not, let Pacino take it away from them. So I like that. Jix really stepping up to the occasion. I know Seb didn't quite do what he wanted, but it's difficult winning. Sometimes winning something when the people that aren't there. So I think good on Jix for stepping up and winning it. Yeah.
Definitely carving out their presence.
Yeah, and good work to the old folks mod in Z who've been around for a while, stepping up, coming to the occasion. I'm proud of those old Victorians.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
Fucking hell. Question number 14. Did you learn any Japanese?
Hi. Well, if I could say Japanese for a little bit, I'd say a little bit. I learned words and phrases and just say them. So say when you say thank you very much, that was the tricky one for me because you say arigato gozaimasu.
No, it's like arigatou gozaimasu.
Yeah. Because I would say like arigato gozaimashita. I'd say like really quickly because I just like maybe couldn't say it right. I'm a foreigner, so I'd get away with it. So I'll just say like arigato and just like leave, or like arigato gozaimashita and just like leave quickly because it's a bit of a tricky one for me. But I learned a few Smash words like onigashimasu. I think is like let's have a good match or something. I learned a bit like that. But generally, the best Japanese you can speak is bowing. Bowing does everything for you, bro. If I wasn't sure, I just bowed, and it speaks a million words. You can tell by the context. A Japanese person told me that like how you bow is just like on the context you can read it. So I learned a few Japanese words, not much. I can't hold a conversation, that's for sure, but I know how to bow, and that does everything for me.
I like the bowing culture. I think it's sick.
Yeah, it's sick. It's easy and it's convenient. Yeah.
Question number 15. What's one thing most people don't know about you?
Well, the old folks would probably know this, but the younger folks or newer to Smash probably wouldn't know, but I'm a pretty big tennis player. I've come from a very big tennis family. When I was 16, I won the Northeastern Junior Championships and won $500 from that in a big ass trophy with my name carved on it. And I've also won a big Australian money tournament before in doubles with someone, which is like a really big deal. It's like winning like a Ranbat or something. So I've been a pretty big tennis player from a big tennis family. So people probably don't know that I'm actually quite good at sport, even though I'm good at like an e-sport. I can actually run around outside and pretty good at something else.
Just an addict for competition, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's sometimes pretty hard juggling both of them mental-wise because I'm the best in the country at one of them and not the best in the country at one. I'm like good, but like not like amazing, like the best. So
you're like me.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. So
you and I were not that different. You missed out on the Australian Open.
Yeah, I know. I saw like the last like 4 or 5 days of it, but I'm pretty devout. I missed this year and I missed last year because I was in America, so I haven't actually gone for the last few years. But yeah, so that's the thing. I'm a pretty big tennis player outside of it.
There you go. I knew that, by the way. Just putting that out. I'm an old head. Fuck you, Jason. Yeah. Question number 16. What are you gonna do? / what did you do for work before and after Smash?
So I was working full-time the last 2 years since COVID. My first full-time job I was working as a marketing coordinator. So at uni, I studied a Bachelor of Communication majoring in digital media. So I've always kind of wanted to go into like a media background sort of thing, film, video, whatnot. So I started in marketing, did that for a year. Then I went to America, left that, came back, and I worked as a consultant at the same place. So I worked at a recruitment agency as a marketing coordinator, and then I worked there as a recruitment person. And so I did that for the next 6 months until I went to Europe, and then went to Europe, left that, and been just kind of focusing on Smash since. But once I'm done with Smash, I kind of want to go back into like media. I'll probably start in marketing because that's where I've got my experience, and experience conquers all. And then I want to go into like advertising, like making ads, because that's like a film thing, and then go into like film, video, media making one day.
That's sick. It's like the other passion.
Yeah. Media is like the other passion. I know it encompasses a lot of things, but generally like media, like video sort of thing is the way to go.
Yeah. You hear that, kids? Jono, the best player, has a degree and has worked full-time while playing Smash.
And I worked 5 years before that at Coles as a retail slave. Well, if you count Coles as retail. Yeah.
Depends where you are.
Yeah.
Food and produce, like...
Deli. So that's customers, I do the customers and dealing with food. So, so a bit of both.
Bit of both. Where are we up to? Question number 17. I know you've probably said that already, but what are your thoughts on the Wi-Fi mod pack?
I think it's genuinely amazing. That is like that's like kind of what's brought back a bit of my passion and motivation as well. The fact I can actually practice from home properly now. Before I just couldn't play Young Link on Wi-Fi. It just like was not good at all. But now that I can play with like a 2-frame delay with other Victorians, maybe like 3-frame, like out of states, it is pretty amazing. For any new kid, new ulti person, I genuinely cannot recommend it enough. I know you might not have the resources for it, needing an old Switch. If you can get your hands on it, it will take you to the next step. It will get you experience that you can't get in your own state. Yeah. So I really think it's super important. Yeah.
I always wish, like, what would Australia be like if everyone just lived in the same state, and it's just like that's a step closer to it.
It is pretty close to it. The fact you can play like 2-3 frame delay instead of 6, 7, 8, that's a tremendous difference. So I think this is generally what could help us bridge the gap between the rest of the world, even though I think it's pretty small right now.
Maybe more aimed at like higher level, in my opinion, though, because I feel like there's still a lot to gain. If you're like you shouldn't have to like make this huge purchase if you're just like a 2-2 or something like that. You know what I mean?
It shouldn't have to, but I think it would be very beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah. You can still learn a lot at 2-2 from your own region, I agree, but it doesn't hurt having it, that's for sure. Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I think we're starting pro bracket soon. Thoughts on question number 18. Thoughts on the DLC Bangle? The DLC ban angle.
I think anyone who wants Kazuya banned is just like stupid. I'm like, you're an airhead if you want Kazuya banned. The character is not dominating at like any levels of the game. Yes, he's a bit obnoxious, like I agree, but he's not dominating like top level, like mid level, low level. He's not easy. So there's really no reason to ban him. You can only think of like one good Kazuya, like top Kazuya main, Riddles, and then there's like a few other, T as well. But he plays Pac-Man as well. They both play another character. So Kazuya, if you want him banned, you're an uffie. Steve is a bit more of a valid thing, I reckon. He's not too dominating yet. If he was banned, I definitely wouldn't say no. But I think banning is like a pretty big part. Like you're screwing over like a lot of people. But I think there's no point for us in Australia to ban him if no one else is banning him. If everyone else has banned him, then like may as well.
Yeah.
But I really don't think there's much of a point of banning him, even though I would love Steve banned because it would make my life easier, but I just don't think there's a point.
Yeah, it'd be just shooting ourselves in the foot if we banned him, you know?
Banning anything that the rest of the world don't use, I think shooting ourselves in the foot. That's why I like using 9 stages, because it gives us more exposure and more experience. So, yeah.
I agree. Question number 19. What do you think Australia's advantage is competing internationally? What do we excel at as a country if we are good at anything, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know what we excel at. I mean, we excel at being good people, good cunts. That's something not every country has, but we are good folks to be around. So apart from being good people, outside of it, I don't know. I don't really think we excel at anything else. I think like as a country, we succeed. We excel at supporting our player overseas, if that's something. I think we everyone knows we've got the player traveling overseas behind them. We're like backing them overseas. Like Shrish would have felt this now out of being Mia. I felt that love before. So yeah, I think that's like the main thing. Maybe not Smash wise, apart from just being good people and a good country backing us. That's like kind of what we excel at. Yeah,
absolutely. And final bonus question. Do you see yourself going into any kind of like content creation of sorts to like support your Smash endeavors? Not much of a personality kind of guy, or?
I definitely have a personality. I'm just I'm just a bit more
I hope so with this interview.
I'm just a little bit more cautious around Smashers, being careful what I say. I do have to be a bit more careful of what I say sometimes. I know like I've got like family and stuff watching my Twitter and all this, so I'm always like careful what I tweet and that. So I don't know what I would look like unleashed, releasing my ego even more, but probably wouldn't get into content creation now, just leaving it a bit too late, living in Australia. I think it's a lot of time commitment, even though I wish I could. you know, it's just not for me. Like streaming and all that is just like not for me. I'm not particular. I'd rather do YouTube if I could do some sort of content creation, but just I'd prefer collaborating with like all the YouTubers and doing that sort of thing.
The Puppet one.
Yeah, the Puppet one. It was the first person that came on my mind. So I think I'd rather do that. But yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I've got you for today. And if people want to find you, like where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, jdizzle_203, and that's pretty much about it. Or at, Victorian Smash events, if I'm here. Yeah.
Like we are today at the Ranbat. But that's been all. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very
Jonathan
much for having
Douglas.
me, Connor.
And we'll see you guys next time.